Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Hammond collection release from Mattel. This time we have the DRYOSAURUS, and this one's pretty cool, but unfortunately, this one for some reason did not go up for pre-order on Target's website, so this was one that we were basically just waiting to see pop up somewhere. And luckily it popped up on Walmart. Again, a little bit pricier than what you'll find on Target's site, but still pretty happy to actually have this, and the color looks really nice on this one. As far as the packaging goes, you can see it looks okay. You've got the Hammond Collection logo, the species name, and a nice shot of the dinosaur, like really nice artwork over here. We have the Hammond Collection logo on the side. On the back, some alternate images of the figure, as well as a little checklist down here. And then again, Jurassic World, and the fact that it does have like accessories and stuff. So very exciting to have this one in the Mattel line. So let's pop this open and we'll check it out. So here is our DRYOSAURUS, and what's cool is when it comes to the accessory in this one, we have an alternate jaw, and thank heavens for that, because this thing looks absolutely insane with its mouth open like this for some reason. I honestly would have just preferred a straight up articulated jaw. I'm not really sure what's going on when it comes to the crazy face this thing has, but once you get nice and close, you can see, unfortunately, there's a super obvious seam right here where the jaw connects, but I don't know that there's really any way around that when it comes to, pulling this jaw out, putting the other one in. Of course, it's going to have a seam, but it does kind of add a little bit of ugliness to the head of this one. But look at the eyes. The eyes look so much nicer, in my opinion, with these new updated painted, or actually it's more like a decal for the eyes that we have. They just look so much more lifelike and realistic than the glass eyes, which just were not working too well. And we have a nice gloss coat on the eyes as well, a little variation of color in there with maybe a green, a yellow, and a black pupil. We also have quite a bit of color here in the face, as you have all sorts of speckling, and the speckling shows up really nicely because we have like a light tan tone for the head sculpt, and then we have like a brown speckling, and then we also start to have like some darker greenish sort of brown tones pick up that actually turn into like a striping almost in the back of the head. We as well have a dark tone here, kind of like a dark gray for the beak area of the dinosaur. Inside the mouth, we can see the teeth, which are sculpted pretty decently. They look okay. They also have a nice white tone of color, and there is a dark pinkish tone in there, and a nice gloss coat. So pretty much the same sort of inside of the mouth that we had for the Musaurus. As far as articulation goes, you can move the head up and down really nicely. Right here, it can go that far down. It can also go that far up, which works really nicely, and of course you can swivel those areas as well. As you move down, the skin texture looks pretty decent, but a little bit muted maybe in the face, but not too bad. We can also see the nostrils up there, and as we lead down, again, we have the darker greenish sort of tones pick up and kind of overtake a large portion of the patterning. As we lead down, we also pick up a very cool kind of like a bluish tone for the body, and that looks really nice as well, especially when it comes to the speckling that it has, because it has like this larger green patterning here that moves down, but it really breaks up and becomes like a major speckling as you move down through the side of the figure. We can also see the musculature of the arm looks really nice, and of course the fine detail as well. We can see the fingers potentially. There we go. We can see the fingers right there. Unfortunately, the claws are not painted. That's upsetting, especially because they were painted on the Musaurus. But it looks okay. As far as the articulation of the neck, at the bottom of the neck, you can go up and down very nicely and can swivel. Also, the transition down is quite smooth and natural looking. Articulation in the arms, forward and back. Obviously, can come out away from the body. Elbow articulation, forward and back, and can also swivel. As we move back into the stomach, we can see the skin detail continuing to look really nice. We don't have any alternate coloration for the underside of this one, but as you can see, as we lead back, we transition from that bluish tone to a greenish tone, and the what kind of looked more like a greenish brown before actually looks so much more brown once it actually is in comparison to the green. Like on the back of the neck, it almost looks like a greenish sort of a brown, but as we continue to lead through, it definitely is more of a brown sort of a look. But the green looks also really quite nice. I think the tone of green is really well done as well. The skin texture continues to look pretty good, and as you can see, there's just so much going on when it comes to the patterns on this one. It almost drowns out the detail in some areas. Leading down through the thigh, we can see some nice muscle definition and some really nice skin texture right here. We still have more of that kind of brown spotting and patterning as we lead down. Then we lead into the calf. You can see the calf muscle looking quite nice. The kneecap there in the front of the leg, and the foot sculpt also looks really good. You've got some scoots down the toes. The claws are painted, but unfortunately the dew claws are not. Come on, Mattel, you've been listening to us when it comes to certain things, but those dew claws, they really need paint. But as far as the articulation goes, forward and back, also out away from the body quite nicely. Knee articulation, forward and back, pretty nice and smooth. Like, that can really go quite far forward, and that can also swivel. And then you've got ankle articulation right here, which is actually super stiff right now. I don't want to force it or I'll break it. It can swivel, but you can very clearly see the joint, so it goes forward and back. And then a nice spot of ankle articulation right here, which is fairly standard for the Hammond collection stuff, but that also works really nicely. As we lead back up and we lead out into the tail, you start to see the patterns get kind of like smaller as far as the speckling goes down here, but much larger moving along the back of the tail. And again, the skin texture still looks pretty decent as we lead along. Nothing overly impressive when it comes to the fine detail on this one, but I think it still has a quite nice and highly detailed sculpt overall. But the paintwork, the patterning, and everything does end as we lead out about 3/4 through the tail there, and it's basically just the green the entire rest of the way, articulation wise, left, right, up and down as per usual, and then of course the wire tail. So that's a pretty cool figure. Again, when it comes to unexpected species, that's definitely one of the more unexpected ones, but I think they did a really good job. And look at the tail length. That tail length is definitely quite impressive. Let's go ahead and see if we can pop this jaw off. And there we go. There is the closed mouth version, which in my opinion actually looks a lot nicer, so I think I'm going to keep mine with the closed mouth visual moving forward. I just think it looks so much nicer. As far as the size goes, when it's standing in a nice natural position, for a length from the beak there to the tail, about 9¼ inches or around 23.5 centimeters, and then for a height to the top of the head, about 4¼ inches or just a hair under 11 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being, next to our Hammond Collection Dryosaurus. And you can see it does look pretty nice and also has a decent size to it. I think this one might be maybe slightly larger than the Moosaurus, but for a comparison to see if that's true, there is the Moosaurus, and it does seem like maybe it has a little bit more body mass to it, but not much. Definitely more length to it, but overall they are kind of similar in size. And if you look at it next to a standard Velociraptor, you can see the Dryosaurus is actually a bit larger than Velociraptor Blue. And as we continue on with some of the same comparisons I used for the Moosaurus, we also have the Dimetrodon, which you can see is a bit smaller, as well as the Scutosaurus, which again, quite a bit smaller. And then finally the Troodon, which you can see is kind of similar in size, but definitely a bit more body mass on our Dryosaurus. So I really like this figure as well. I think Mattel, for the most part, did a pretty darn good job with this wave of Hammond collection, and the paint apps are really well done on this newest round of figures. I think the Dryosaurus looks great, very unexpected species, but overall, I think it looks really good when it comes to the sculpt and fine detail. The paintwork and the paint scheme they went with also looks really good, very natural, but a nice element of flashiness to it without being too overly flashy. And there's also a good bit of color added to this one, just like we saw on the Moosaurus. We also have, again, the decal eyes, which I think are definitely better than the glass eyes, and some nice articulation, which again, very smooth, very impressive articulation on this one as well. The interchangeable jaw is okay. I definitely think it looks way better with the closed mouth version, and I would have probably liked it better with just an articulated jaw, but it's not too bad when it comes to this. And again, with the closed mouth version, I think it just looks a lot nicer. So without a doubt, another figure, in my opinion, worth picking up. Unfortunately, I can't link you to Target yet because this one never went up for pre-order on there, but if you do want to grab it from Walmart currently, you can through the link that I'll include in the description. Otherwise, I'd imagine it'll probably pop up on Target at some point once all of the others are officially available. So check the link in the description and grab it there if you want it. Otherwise, wait for Target to stock it, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.